So now that we got all of our base materials hooked up into this vehicle here, let's go ahead and begin creating the controller for our car color and for our coat roughness values that we will be able to change when we apply our generators. So first thing we can do is let's start with our base color map that we have up here that's plugged directly into our base color output. So what we need to do is we want to take the existing color here, and we know that everything that's red we want it to change. We want a mask for it to be able to change it to any other color that we want. The first thing we can do is we can drag off a node for color to mask. Now again, you can find this going by on the library, clicking compositing nodes, and we can type in mask. It'll be one of the first selections that will come up for us. So we can bring in the color to mask, and it's going to ask us what is our color input. Well, first thing we can add in is the detail that's going to be needed for the mask. So we know that our bitmap is going to be driving the color input, but and nothing has changed. Well, it's needing to find out what is the color. We have to actually pick that color for us. And if you look in the color to masking parameters, in the instance parameters, it has a different number of colors you can choose from. If I were to pick any color here, and let me double click on the color to mask, it's still going to be no change whatsoever. So let's double click the bitmap, and let's single click our color to mask, and let's pick the color that we want to drive this alpha mask. So we can go to pick. Now we can pick from the viewport, even anything really in Substance Designer. We can pick from the viewport, but I don't want to do that because you notice that as I go over these different highlights that the color changes. It's not a solid color for what I want. Let's actually grab from this viewport itself in the bitmap. So if we single click that, now we have a solid color to mask that is completely filled. We double click on this node to refresh it, and we'll see our mask is in there. Our mask is very jagged right now, but we can go to mask range, and we can increase our range to fill it into a solid. So everything that inherits this color is going to be masked into there. And I'll put my mask range to 1, and I'll soften it up a bit too. Next, we can say, let's grab a constant color to drive this. So instead of it being red all the time, what if we wanted it blue or green or white? We can actually come to right click, do an add node, and we can come down to uniform color. Uniform color is going to start off with a black, but we need to actually add these two together to drive this final output for our base color. And we can use that by right clicking, do an add node. We can use a blend. We can also use these quick selections up here by just clicking and dragging, and it'll give us our blend. It needs a few things for this output to work. First, we need a opacity mask, which is what we made here with the color to mask, which is a grayscale. It needs a foreground color, which we want to be our uniform color, and we need our background color. As you can already see, it's populating the bitmap down here. We need our background color, which is our bitmap, so this is going to lay on top of this. So let's drag our output right into the background, and now you see it's a full color. Let's see the final result by bringing this output into our base color, and you see our vehicle has updated to a black overall finish. We can see this on the fly update that we have included by double clicking on our node or single clicking, bring up its parameter options, and you can change out any color you want, and it'll update in real time in the viewport. So I'm going to go to, and you can also increase and decrease your alpha blending, but I'm going to go with a let's see, yeah, that works. Let's just go to like a green color, make it obvious, or I don't know, picky. Let's just go back to red, a little bit more visible. There we go. So now we need something to also drive our coat roughness. So let's say this is a little too shiny. Again, we can set this up almost the same way we just got done doing the colors. The color is masking. So I know there's a few nodes in here that I want to recreate and use. So let's comment this out really fast so we know what group of nodes do what. So I right click, I want to add a frame. I know it said comment there, but that just adds in some words, but I like the frames because I like to kind of replicate what I do in Unreal a lot. So I can click on frame, we can turn on our title, but our title, I'm just going to call this our mask from car color. And from this group, I want to just go ahead, I'll select all those, I'll copy them, Control C, whoops, and let's Control paste it down here, Control V. And we're going to need a few changes here. So our color to mask is going to be driven the same way. It's still being driven by this color since it's the paint coat. And for our constant color, we don't really need to have colors change. Instead, we should just switch this to grayscale since we're only going to be dealing with black and white grayscale maps. So now this color will only be filled, and as we change out our black and whites, it'll update how rough or how brushed this is. And for our background information, we can alt click to deselect the background node, and let's feed in our red channel that we have. And now this should update with the background color. So if we feed this into our blend node into our roughness, you'll see that now our roughness updates on the fly, just like our car color. So let's comment this out too. I'm going to keep this down here separated just in case we might ever want something for metallic, but I don't think I will be. And I'll just add a frame. And I'll name this frame the coat roughness. Alright. So from there, we're going to be needing to set up our generator. So let's bring in the generator that's going to give us our procedural materials for this. And once we see what this node is going to require to be able to operate, we'll probably end up stopping the video, and then in the next video we'll end up baking in the channels that we need. So I know I'm going to need some room for this generator here, so I'm just separating out the nodes a bit more to give it some room. So the generator that I'm going to want to use to be able to make a lot of this procedural material show up for scratches, weathering, and all that is I can come down to my mass generators, and there's a couple. There's weathering and there's also utilities, but I'm going to come to mass generators here. I'm sorry, let's go to weathering. I think this is where I used it last. So let's grab our metal weathering. Let's bring that in, click, and you'll see that our metal weathering needs it's going to need some information here, and information that we don't necessarily have baked out. For instance, we don't have normal world space, we don't have ambient occlusion maps. We do have a normal map, we don't have a height map, but we can actually use a normal map to create a height map. And we can also create any additional maps that we'll need, and we'll end up doing that in the next video. So for here, we're going to end up using our metal weathering generator to get our procedural textures going, and then we'll also create the additional maps that we will need. So we'll stop there, and then we'll be right back.